Duelist Nexus and Revolution Synchron are finally here, which means Dragon Link is now one of the best decks of the format. What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to our competitive Yu-Gi-Oh video. Duelist Nexus and Revolution Synchron are finally here, which means that Dragon Link is now one of the best decks of the entire format. The deck has so much that it can do because of these cards and all the support that it's gotten over the past year and a half or so. So if you guys are excited for an amazing Dragon Link deck profile, then make sure to smash the like button and of course subscribe to the channel. And by the way, if this video hits 60 likes, I'll bring you an amazing combo guide for how to use this Dragon Link deck. Also guys, I just want to say thank you. We are super close to 800 subscribers and our goal is 1,000 by the end of the year, so make sure to subscribe as well. Let's go ahead and jump into it. This is the best Dragon Link deck profile for the post Duelist Nexus format. Let's jump into it. Alright everyone, welcome back to the deck profile portion of the video. We have an amazing 41 card main, 15 card extra, and 15 card side deck for an awesome Bestial Dragon Link deck profile for the post Duelist Nexus format. That being said, at the time of recording this, the set is not even out yet, so I'm going to keep that in mind when I show you this deck profile. There is going to be a proxy of a card in here, but we're going to do our best in post editing to make it look squeaky clean for you guys. But let's go ahead and jump on into it. And of course guys, if you want to see a deck profile portion, not deck profile, let me rephrase that. If you want to see a combo portion for this video, then make sure to go ahead and smash the like button, because at 60 likes, I'll bring you an awesome combo video for this deck. So starting off, we have our Bestial package being the one copy of the Bestial Lubellion. We have triple copies of Bestial Magnamut, which again, I want to apologize, I don't have a third copy right now. Shout out to my buddy Alex for lending me the first two. We have the two copies of Bestial Saronir, the Bestial Druisworm, and then the one copy of Bestial Baldrake with the giant glare on it. Now I'll be honest with you guys, seeing too many Bestials in your opening hand is not a great thing unless it is specifically the Bestial Lubellion. The problem is that card is like $85, and I'll be honest, I'm not going to afford 3 copies of that thing. So what I want to do right now instead is I want to have access to at least one of them. If you have another copy or 2 or 3 copies of this card here, then add another copy of the Bestial Saronir. But the rest of them, you don't really need to do too much. Magnamut, Saronir, Druisworm, and Baldrake are plenty enough for disruption, but also giving you access to level 6 bodies on board and having just their initial reactive effects as well. With the Baldrake being able to tribute another light or dark to be able to negate the summon of an effect monster, really, whether it's a Ritual, Link, XC, something like that from the extra deck, it's fine. Druisworm is a fantastic card for interrupting things. Saronir gets your Lubellion into the graveyard, gets you branded spells and traps in the graveyard, and then Magnamut just searching you in the end phase, another dragon monster, is absolutely incredible. If you have 3 of them, definitely play 3 of them. Like I said, right now, only rocking with 2 right now, but I will get that third one eventually. And honestly, guys, Lubellion is the heart and soul of this deck. If you have 3, you definitely want to play 3. You will find other places to cut in this deck. That's going to be our Bestial package here. Really, really strong package. I'll be honest, I would love to see these cards, at least 1 or 2 of them in my opening hand, pretty much every single time around. So I'm pretty happy to have access to that. Next up though is going to be our Rocket Engine, starting off with the 2 copies of Rocket Tracer. We have the 1 copy of Absolute Dragon, the 1 Rocket Caliber, and the 1 Rocket Recharger. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, you don't really want to see these in your opening hand. You really don't. If you see the Rocket Tracer in your hand, it's not the end of the world, but what you're really trying to do is get access to Rocket Tracer by dumping the Absolute Dragon to the graveyard to be able to search for the Rocket Tracer in your hand. These 2 here you don't really want to see at any point in time. Rocket Recharger especially, it is in a way a hard-ish brick because the Rocket Caliber is a tuner monster. So basically what the plan is going to be is eventually go with Rocket Tracer's effect to destroy a card on the field, or a card you control I should say, and then special summon a Rocket from your deck that is not Rocket Tracer. So Rocket Tracer has that effect, really strong here. It's a tuner, gets you access to air level 4s, which can then get you into synchro plays, but it locks you into darks. Absolute, when it's sent to graveyard, can add to hand a Rocket monster from your deck. Also, if it's in your hand and you control Rocket, you can special summon itself directly as well, which is really good. Rocket Caliber can special summon itself to like a Zonal Link monster points to, which has its usefulness, just not the most useful in the world, but it is better than all the other Rocket monsters right now. And the Recharger has a couple of niche effects, but you're really using it as a level 4 body that is some sort of protection. It's got great defense stats, and on top of that, it is a dark dragon that you can summon off of the Rocket Tracer to be able to go into your extra deck. That's really what you're looking at with the Rocket Engine. So moving on though, we're going to go ahead and talk about the next engine in the deck, which is going to be the engine focused on Chaos. We have the 3 copies of Starleech Savefert, we have the 1 White Dragon Wyvern Burster, and we have the 1 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. These cards here are absolutely incredible. If these 2 here were not limited to 1, you would definitely play more than 1, probably 2 to 3 of each of them. Now, Starleech Savefert is the best normal summon in the deck. The reason why I say that, and I say that Starleech Savefert over a card like Black Metal Dragon, is that the card itself doesn't really need to worry too much about a Rise card compared to Black Metal Dragon, which has to be sent to the graveyard to activate its effect, and we're in a Kestir format right now, so I want to keep that in mind. But Sacred essentially will get you access to whichever one of these that you need, which is really strong. Most of the time you're going to be tributing itself, so you can get access to the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. You can also get access to the Bestial Lubellion, which is really nice as well, so keep that in mind. And then you can banish it from your graveyard to add a level 8 monster, a level 8 dragon monster rather, from your graveyard to your hand, which is absolutely incredible for recursion, for getting resources back, discard fodder, whatever you need. And then of course the white and the black dragons are so good, and because of cards like Chaos Space, you can just loop them repeatedly, and it's insane how good these cards can be in tandem with one another and with the extra deck cards that we have at our disposal. So that's going to be it for the main monsters that we have here. We do have a couple other monsters here that are part of the main deck. They're not really part of the engine though, so we have just cards that are just in general good to have. We're going to have the Darkus Diabolos, Lord of the Lair, and the Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, and then over here we're going to have the one copy of our Revolution Synchron. Now, Darkus Diabolos is a great card to have. I've done some testing with it after seeing some videos being posted with it, and I'll be honest, it's good. Is it great? Not really, and right now it is my 41st card. I like it because in hands that you open up with the Tracer, or in hands where you don't really need to have access to the rockets, sending this off of Dragon Ravine is really solid because you get access to tributing dragons all the time, whether it's for the effect of your Branded Beast, or the effect of your Bestial Lubellion, or the effect of even of your Bestial Baldrake. Getting it back on the field is great, and you can hand loop your opponent as well, which is really, really nice. And on top of that, it can be tributed. It's a huge body, level 8, all good things that come with this card. Legionnaire is crazy. You can hand rip your opponent. You can destroy 2 cards non-targeting. It is really, really strong. This card does a lot of good things. The only thing is it can't attack the turn it's summoned, and you use that effect, so keep that in mind. Revolution Synchron. Oh my god. Basically, this card is the reason why Duelist Nexus is going to be as good as it is. The card is essentially one of the best cards in the set. It is the best card in the set, and it's going to command a massive price tag as soon as it actually comes out. But basically what I want to say about this is, if you special summon, or synchro summon rather, a power tool monster or a level 7 or 8 dragon monster from your extra deck, then you can use this card in your hand as material, which is humongous. On top of that, if you control a level 7 or higher synchro, you can then special summon this card from your graveyard by sending it into top card of your deck, and that's going to basically make it level 1, and at that point in time, you now have access to a level 8 or higher synchro on top of that, including some of the best synchros in the game that previously were very hard to access, like the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So a fantastic card to have. All 3 of these cards are super good. I'll be honest, if you pull multiple Revolution Synchrons, just play multiple, okay? The first card I'm going to show you in a spell lineup is going to be tuning, okay? If you have access to Revolution Synchrons, just take away a tuning, put another one. Okay, just keep it like that. That's all you really need here. So moving on to the spells, we're going to go ahead and start talking about, of course, our 3 copies of Tuning, which are a fantastic searcher for the Revolution Synchron, but it's also good because it can kind of turn on your engine. If you're able to send the top card of your deck and it's like a dark monster or a light monster, which your entire deck is, you can then go ahead and activate your Bestials to be able to summon themselves to your side of the field, which is huge because a Bestial monster plus a Rocket Tracer or level 4 tuner is access to a free Bestial Dispater, a Chaos Angel, even something like a Baron's Floor. You have a lot of access as well, so having tuning to search is really strong. On top of that, we have access to more consistency pieces in something like the Quick Launch. Quick Launch is a fantastic card to have. 3 copies of this to search out your Rocket Tracer. Special summon it directly from the deck is huge. Having access to the Rocket Caliber if you need it, or the Rocket Recharger is also really strong. Just a fantastic card with basically no restriction, and it's a quick play spell. Just so strong. I'm so happy I picked up these secret rare copies of Quick Launch when they were like $1 back like 3-4 years ago. Just super happy about that. And then of course we have 3 copies of one of the best searchers in the game here. 3 copies of Chaos Space. This card is insane. I love Chaos Space, such a fun card to use. If this card resolves, you're basically winning the game 9 times out of 10. It is that strong of a card. Essentially, you're sending a light or dark monster from your hand to graveyard and adding a light or dark monster that can be normal or summoned or set from your deck to your hand with level between 4 and 8 and with a different attribute than the monster you send. So you send a light, you add a dark. And the level's got to be between 4 and 8, which is not bad at all because you can get your Bestial Lubellion, you can get your Baby Dragons. There's so many things you can do. It does have a second effect where you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one of your banished light or dark monsters that can't be normal summoned or set again, and then you put that on the bottom of the deck and you draw a card. So not only does it replace itself, but it gets you access to your Baby Dragons again, because once they're banished, you're kind of stuck. But now you can just continuously search them, which is absolutely incredible. So just a fantastic card to have with Chaos Space. Honestly, these 3 cards are great. Like I said, reduce the tunings if you add in more copies of Revolution Synchron. If you want to play the Assault Synchron, then just keep a tuning in there because tuning is really solid to have because you can search for both of them. It's really nice that way. That's why we have 3 copies of each of these cards. So moving on now, we have a couple different parts of our engine. So As a part of this engine, we have our field spells, which are going to be the Boot Sector Launch, which you search off of the field spell, off of the, I should say, the Striker Dragon, and then you have the Dragon Ravine, which you search off of your Romulus. We then have access to our Bestial package still, which is still going to be the Branded Regained and the Branded Beast. Now, I've seen a lot of lists cut Branded Beast. I disagree. I think Branded Beast is a fantastic card because Dark Ruler is a very annoying card to play in this format. We're going to see decks like Vanadium, which are very combo focused and have a massive board come up. Even cards like, even decks like Kashtira, which have access to a Rise card. Just seeing a bunch of these cards that just say, you know what, Dark Ruler me. You have access to Branded Beast now as interruption, even through Dark Ruler, which is absolutely fantastic. So Branded Beast will basically let you out floodgates and is able to give you interruption through Dark Ruler, and that's why you have to play it. Branded Regain is important because not only will it get you more resources to draw cards, because if you're banishing light and dark monsters, or if your opponent does it even, then you're in a great position. And I'll be honest, your deck wants to banish light and dark monsters, so you get to draw a card for free and recycle your resources as well, which is really good. And in a Kashtira metagame, you can shuffle them back into the deck, a light or dark monster like the Arise card might happen to be, and get rid of it for good in case they try to go for something like a Birth or whatever to rebirth it back. Anyways, very great card here, and you also get to summon back something like your Bestial Dispatcher as well. This card is so good in the Bestial version of the deck, you have to play it. All right, so that is going to be, I believe, 34 cards here. That leaves me, I told you I had 41 cards in the deck. The last 7 cards here are going to be really non-engine. We have 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More, and we have 3 copies of Triple Tactic Talent, and we have the one Called by the Grave. I think Called by the Grave is a fantastic card in this format. This deck does a good bit of searching, and Droll is going to be one of the best hand traps in the Post Dune format. So having Called by is nice. If you really want to add Crossout and play a higher deck count, you can. If you want to play a pile variant, you definitely can do it. It's not necessarily the best way to go in my opinion, but it is still an option. Talent is a fantastic card because you get hand trapped. First of all, this deck can play through so many different hand traps at such great times. So all you need to do is basically just go Talent, draw 2, or, you know, my board's already done. I can build a great board through Ash or through Droll or through whatever, and then just go Talent, what's in your hand, get rid of the Dark Ruler, get rid of the Evenly, get rid of whatever interruption or starter you want to deal with, and you're fine. And then Dark Ruler is arguably the best going second card in the game right now, in my opinion, to deal with any combo heavy focus decks. The deck that really is fine dealing with Dark Ruler is going to be Labyrinth. So that's what we're looking at. I feel like Labyrinth is a good deck, but I've actually had no problem dealing with Labyrinth with this deck here because at the end of the day, you have ways to kind of beat around everything, and you have really big monsters as well to get over the big main deck monster that Labyrinth has at their disposal. So yeah, that's going to be our 41 card main deck. Let's go ahead and move on to the extra deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we have, of course, our 1 copy of Striker Dragon, our Link 1, and 1 copy of Guard Dragon Pisty. These cards are mandatory to play in the deck. Anyways, moving on past our level, our Link 1s, I should say, we have our Link 2s being the Romulus, the Dark Charmer Gloomy, the Quad Boral Dragon, 2 copies of Spheres, and that is it right now. So these cards here I find are all very important to the strategy. Romulus on summon gets you access to a copy of Dragon Ravine. The Dark Charmer Gloomy is really nice, especially in a format where there might be some Bestials or some Darks in the graveyard. It's also just a solid card to have access to good arrows without involving your Romulus as well. And you're also going to be using Dark monsters, which is really nice too. Quad Boral Dragon is a fantastic card to have. It gets you more extension plays, which is nice, and also really helps you, I should say, make a card like Boral End Dragon. Just a fantastic card to play in any Rocket deck. We then have 2 copies of Spheres. Now, a lot of the time, people are going to be playing 1, and that's fine. I'm okay with people playing 1, definitely, but I think 2 is kind of becoming the standard to play because if you go Spheres and you go with a bunch of Synchro monsters on your board, that's a very devastating board to deal with. So I think having Spheres access is fantastic, and you want to go into it maybe once, maybe even twice if you get nibbed, because this card getting nibbed, you still have it resolved. You can summon out a copy of the Magnuma and get a search for free during your turn because it's been tributed. So it's just a fantastic card to have access to. Great card. Next up though is going to be our Link 3 in the copy of the Triple Burst Dragon. This card is great. Getting again access to a downward pointing link arrow. The only other one that has it in this deck, I believe, is going to be the Quad Boral Dragon, which you don't really want to go into at that point in your combo because you want to have access to it later on to basically revive back other cards. But Pisty is going to be needing a downward pointing arrow, and that's why we have Triple Burst Dragon at our disposal. It's also got a decent damage step effect, but it's not really going to happen very often. So that's again what we're looking at. And the final Link monster in the deck is going to be the 1 copy of Boral and the Dragon. Now, some people are playing Axis Code, some people are playing Boral Sword Dragon. You don't need to. You really don't need to. The deck can OTK pretty easily. The entire deck is just huge, giant dragons, so you're pretty much fine dealing with those things. But Boral End Dragon is an absolutely insane card. Can be destroyed by battle or card effect, has effect negation, can be revived. It's just a massive towers for the strategy, and it is insane to end on. And it's pretty easy to make too because only 3+ effect monsters. You go Triple Burst and you go 2 other monsters, and you're fine. You can make this card very, very easily. So just a fantastic card. And that being said is going to be the end of our link monsters in the strategy. So again, we have, I believe it is 9 links, if I'm mistaken. I think it's 9 links, right? Yeah, 9 links in the strategy, which is all really good. Moving on though, we have our 1 copy of the Ancient Fairy Dragon to pair with our 1 copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. If you're not going to play Revolution Synchron, don't bother, just put other cards in. You can put more links, you can put in Delingerous Dragon, you can put in other Synchro monsters if you really want, you can put in something like a Excel Stardust if you have it. We then have the 1 copy of Borreload Savage Dragon, the star level 8 of choice that is generic, very easy to make off of cards like the Rocket Tracer because it is a dark, and Rocket Tracer locks you into darks from the extra deck, so keep that in mind. We then have, of course, our 1 copy of the Baronne de Fleur. This card is a fantastic Omni Negate. The problem is it's only once, and it is a wind and not a dark monster, so you can't go into it after using your Rocket Tracer effect, which kind of sucks to be honest, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, the pop is nice, the body is nice, really solid overall, but just maybe not as good as something like the Bestial Dispater. This card here, you go into Bestial Dispater more than you do Baronne. The card is so fantastic. Having access to potential negation, interruption is amazing. Also having access to be able to revive this card off of Branded Regained is great. There's so many good things that Bestial Dispater does, and it is the biggest body that we have access to in our Synchro lineup, which is obviously amazing. And the last card here, shout out to my buddy Alex again. He lent us the 1 copy of the Chaos Angel for the deck profile. Right now, this card is insane. Having basically the ability to make it unaffected by monsters is insane. And not just this card here, but all of your Synchro monsters, which is awesome. This card is so good, doesn't really need the tuner monsters either, which is great. Essentially what you want to do is you want to go into this going first and this going second. Obviously, there's other options you can go to, but the level 10 of choice, you have 3 of them that are all amazing options. The level 10 pool has gotten so much better over the past 1.5 to 2 years since Baronne came out. It is crazy. And guys, that's it for the side deck, the extra deck, I should say. The deck is crazy strong, has a lot of good options for it, and a lot of good utility, but basically the main issue I have with the deck in general is you're going through a lot of your extra deck in like the first turn, so just keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and move on to our side deck, and our side deck is going to consist of 3 of what I think will be the best hand trap in this coming format, being Droll and Lockbird. Yeah, we're in another Droll format. Vanadium is going to be a thing. There's going to be a lot of decks that want to search cards, and having access just to Droll in general is just a nice thing to do. Kashtira is annoyed by it. Branded is kind of annoyed by it. There's other decks that are also really solid that just don't like to deal with Droll, and it's good for, in my opinion, just some more of the rogue decks in the format as well. We then have, for going first, 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. Love this card. It's really good against a lot of decks. Branded, auto win. Sword Soul, if people are still playing that, auto win. Dragon Link, if they're playing a Synchro variant, auto win. If you're playing against Vanadium, auto win. Kashtira really helps out a lot because they're just going to go into their XCs and you can kind of help with that. The problem is the Kashtira monsters are also really annoying too, so just again, keep that in mind. But a fantastic card nonetheless. We then have 3 copies of the Anti-Spell Fragrance. This helps us out against Dark Ruler because the issue with the deck is still going to be Dark Ruler. It's such a fantastic card against a monster-heavy interruption board. Next to those is going to be 3 copies of Nibiru. I want to have even more hand traps. I want to have the most effective hand traps going second that I possibly could. These 6, in my opinion, are going to be it. And then we have 3 copies of Kaijus here. I have a copy of Godarla, a copy of Gameciel, and a copy of Radian. I'll be honest, if I had 3 Gameciel, would I play 3 Gameciel? No, I wouldn't. If Radian was a level 8, I probably would. Honestly, I don't think playing level 7 is that great. You want to play another Godarla over it? Sure. You want to play another Gameciel if you have it? Sure. I like the idea of having multiple Kaiju so I can have one to beat over the other if I draw 2 of them, which is really nice. So in this case here, if I open up with a Gameciel and a Radian, I give my opponent the Gameciel, give myself the Radian, attack over it, and I'm fine. So it gives me a free body as well, and that's why I like having 3 of them. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for our side deck. Obviously, tailor make the side deck to your locals experience or to whatever YCS or any competitive level event that you're going to be attending. So that really is going to be it for the Post Duelist Nexus Dragon Link, Bestial Dragon Link deck profile. And if you guys want to see a combo guide to this deck, then make sure to smash the like button because at 60 likes, I'll make sure to bring you guys that as the next video. And of course, guys, I want to thank you guys. We are super close to 800 subscribers. And just so you know, did you know that about 5% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel, which is insane to think about. So guys, I want to thank you for your support, and also make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have enjoyed the content. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.